The face of stroke may surprise you. Vibrant 42-year-old Jarmila Stehle is a wife and mother to 11-year-old Mikey and 6-year-old Danielle.
Monkey, you're a monkey.
Jarmila is also a stroke survivor.
Something was telling me maybe I do need the ambulance, but I did have a bad headache.
Anybody can have a stroke, even children. But most of the time we think of stroke as a disease of the elderly. So people over the age of 65 are at higher risk of stroke than younger people. But almost 1 in 4 people who have a stroke are under the age of 55. And there are certain people who may have strokes in their 20s, 30s, or 40s. You can't think to yourself, well, this person's too young to be having a stroke. I'm not going to call an ambulance. You have to consider that even if they are younger.
Little did Jarmila know one spring afternoon last year while driving her daughter to soccer practice, she was having a stroke.
I had to go pick up my daughter because she had a soccer practice, and drove her home to get dressed and then drove her to the soccer field for her practice. You know, I felt kind of odd.
When she arrived home, her husband Chris noticed something was definitely wrong.
Well, the first thing I noticed when we were sitting directly across the table was that after she had said she had a headache, I noticed that one of her eyes was a little bit off. It wasn't like they were both focused in the same spot. Less than 5 minutes, she started getting the symptoms of a full stroke. Like, she said that she could feel tingling, like on her left side. And she walked from the chair to here, which is 6 feet. And by the time she got here, it was getting progressively worse. So, I mean, thank God the EMTs, they came within 15 minutes.
From that point, I don't remember 2 weeks of my life.
Thankfully, Chris took action immediately and called 911.
911, what's your emergency?
His swift response saved Jarmila's life. She suffered a hemorrhagic stroke caused by a leaking or burst blood vessel. Jarmila was treated at Overlook's Comprehensive Stroke Center. When CAT scan imaging revealed Jarmila had a hemorrhagic stroke, she was taken here to interventional radiology. Overlook neurosurgeon Dr. Paul Saphier performed life-saving surgery on Jarmila's brain.
Jarmila presented with a very deep and severe intracranial hemorrhage that was located primarily in the deep fluid-filled space of the brain called the ventricles. She had what's referred to as an intraventricular hemorrhage. And when she first presented, she was in the deepest of comas. And in fact, her neurological exam was so poor, she had what we referred to as a brain-dead exam. She wasn't breathing on her own. She had no reflexes to speak of. She had no voluntary movements. She was unaware as to what was going on in the world around her. This is Jarmila's initial CAT scan when she first presented to the emergency room. And this CAT scan, this white on the circle on the outside, that's her skull. This is her brain in the middle. That's the front, that's the back. This is the left side, this is the right side. And all this whiteness here represents bleeding or hemorrhage within the ventricles of her brain. And you can see that they're deep and located right in the middle, the center of the brain.
When doctors delivered the grave news to Chris, Jarmila's husband, he had faith that she would fight for her life.
No matter what they said and how horrible it was, I knew that somehow, if anybody could get out of it, she's not gonna sit there and die. I mean, she's really very persistent. She's loving and kind and great with the kids. And yeah, I really love her.
I love you too.
Glad to have her.
Using cutting-edge technology called the Apollo, Dr. Saphier was able to stop Jarmila's brain from bleeding.
The Apollo device works with a couple of other special products that we use simultaneously. The first thing that we do is we generate a very specific either CAT scan or MRI, in this case of Jarmila's brain, which allows us to place that information into a special computer at the time of surgery that enables us to see where we are in a three-dimensional plane at any given time. And then we're able to make a very small incision and a very small opening, again about the size of a dime, in the skull. Through that small opening in the skull, we can place a very thin tube into the deepest parts of the brain. And then through that tube, we advance the Apollo device. And that Apollo device is a mechanism where we can literally aspirate or suck out the blood clot, as well as macerate it with a small little, almost corkscrew-looking device. And that allows us to break up the clot, that hemorrhage, that blood, and remove it in its entirety. Because of the location of where this hemorrhage is, the Apollo device allows us to go with a very small and surgically precise method to get into those deep parts of the brain, remove the hemorrhage, and damage very little of the surrounding brain.
Jarmila's recovery has been astounding.
Do me a favor, stare as best you can right here at my nose, okay?
With the exception of some vision challenges, the procedure gave Jarmila an amazing second chance at life.
That hospital and those doctors there are absolutely amazing. I would not be here today if it wasn't for them. I mean, they saved my life.
A chance to continue being wife and mom, a precious gift her family is forever grateful to have received.
My mom means everything to me. I love my mom a lot. My mom takes care of me.
Yeah, I look forward to being together with the kids and having a long, long life of different adventures as long as we're together.
And now this is Jarmila's post-operative CAT scan, and you can see in that deepest centermost portion of the brain, all that white has now turned back to the normal appearing black, which is normal fluid that should be there.
Slowly, if you work hard, you can overcome those obstacles and get back to normal.